Oh, hello. Oh, we're back? Okay. Well, we're back on the Skycutter by FlyingthingZ. And we're just finishing up some sanding. We've got the wing core out now. And what it calls for is this foam is pretty rough. So what it's got us doing is sanding this core down. We're using a sanding block. Careful not to distort anything here. Leading edge, trailing edge. Use a sanding block on the flat surfaces. And you come around to these rounded surfaces, just kind of freehand it and real lightly sand, just knock off the rough on that foam. You probably can't see it on the camera here, but you can hear how rough that is. Smooth, rough here, and smooth here. And we're trying to get that all smoothed down. The next thing it calls to do once you get this sanded is you're going to take your fuselage, and this is pretty neat. The way they pre-cut it, once you get it sanded down, this fuselage just slides right up here like so. Make sure it's nice and square, up all the way on both sides, and it's fitting real nice for us. Now you got to read these instructions carefully. The pictures, I'm going back to critiquing again. The pictures on this thing, boy, with today's modern technology, you'd think they could get a little bit of a better picture. But what it's got us doing is I put two little marks, 3/4 of an inch from that trailing edge on here, and I'm putting this piece of foam that came out of the center right up against this this fuselage that's in here, and I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to mark it all the way up here, just like so. And then what it's got it doing, coming over here, line it up with that 3/4 inch mark, and we're going to mark it over here too. Scribe this or put a little mark on there. And then what we're going to do, we're going to draw a line from here to here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our hobby knife, or our hobby saw. We're going to cut this bevel in this back piece and set it in there so it'll fit up against the back of the fuselage or the back of the cabin and fill in this gap in the back. The reason they had you pull it up 3/4 inch from the trailing edge is they're estimating how far this slope goes back. This slope comes back some, and it's going to go about 3/4 inch further back. Probably have a little bit left over at the tail side on the trailing edge, and we'll sand it flush. But anyway, that's getting started on the wing, and we'll get right back on this project. Okay, everybody, we got this piece glued in. There were some gaps in here, so I just used some lightweight filler, filled that in. Needs a little more sanding. Got our pieces in, and as you can see, the fuselage slides right up into place, and we now have the fuselage on the wing. It's not time to mount it yet, but we've got that part done. The next step is turn the fuselage over, and this is going to involve putting the landing gear braces on. I've already started gluing these up, but I'm just going to show them to you. They're light ply pieces that come in the kit, and there are 12 of these pieces that are like this, and 2 pieces that are like this with the groove in them. You put 3 on each side. You put 3 together, I should say, then put a piece with the groove in it, and then 3 more pieces. Now, again, I've been kind of critical of the instructions. I'm going to let you know that there are, in fact, 12 of these pieces, but the instructions say there's only 6. Also in the instructions it tells you to put one of these together and how to install it into the wing. Every other place, or at least so far in the instructions, it is said to do one side and repeat the other side. It doesn't do it here. So when you look at the parts list and you look at the instructions, you would wonder why there's two. Well, it makes sense when you look at the plans again that there's a landing gear block for each side, because you're going to have tricycle gear. Main gear, and then a nose wheel is going to attach to the fuselage. But again, I'd just like to point that out, that when you do read the instructions, it's not going to tell you that. You'll be able to figure that out easy enough, but I don't know why they left that off. Okay, next, I'm going to try to stay out of the way, but I turn the wing upside down, put a piece of the scrap foam under it to keep it level. Here's a suggestion they made. Put a triangle, or your square, up against the leading edge, because what we have to do is measure back and mark a mark at 8 inches and 8 3/4 inches from the leading edge of the wing. Okay, at this point, with those two marks, we bring our blocks up, we set them square with the, and they come out to 3/4 inches wide, and square with the wing here. Actually, I'm going to take the square and mark 2 lines to make sure I'm doing the square here. And this is where we're going to do a cutout for our wing blocks, our landing gear blocks to go on the wing. And I'm going to draw a mark across here to know how deep to go. And this is the cutout we've got to make here. Then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put this block up against here, like so. I don't know if you can see that in the video, it may be too low. And we're going to mark across the bottom, so we know exactly where to cut out the foam, put in our pieces. And again, the instructions don't point it out, but we're going to repeat this process on the opposite side. Once I get that cut out, we'll be epoxying these in and sanding it smooth. Okay, moving right along, I just used my Dremel tool, put a little grinding bit on there, set it to the right depth. It gives you some depth measurements to measure this, and just kind of routed out that hole. And I've got it in there where it's nice and flush. So I'm going to go ahead and epoxy that in place and do my other side, and that should get us for these landing gear blocks. Not really too bad a system to really support that gear. Okay, I completed the last of the steps on the wing before we go into covering on the wing. And what we did is we put the blocks in for the landing gear, and those are already in, epoxied in. And what I did was, when it's set up, I just put a little fill around in there. It's a little hard to get that styrofoam cut perfect up there without a little fraying and whatnot, so I just kind of filled that in. Then what I want you to do is turn it over. I've already cut these slots, but you've got these handlebar brackets. They're made from the light ply, and what these brackets do is they don't go in now. You wait till after you're done covering the wing and final assembly. But this is what holds your landing gear in. And what you do is you measure up 4 inches from the trailing edge, 2 inches from the side, and then at that point cut a straight 2.5 inch line all the way through the wing. I use my Dremel tool for that. And then these pieces slide in like so, flush with the bottom, and they get epoxied in once you get toward the final setup process. So anyway, that is basically the wing completely done. Pretty fast. Going to do a little more sanding on it, but I think we're well on our way to getting this project done, and hopefully we'll have something that resembles a lawnmower here soon. Thanks for watching.